Hey guys, if you've listened to this podcast for any time at all, you know how much I care about keeping pet care accessible to pet owners, and how much I hate when people don't have the resources they need to take care of their pets, our staff included. Guys, if you are here, you're probably pretty hardcore about pet health care. FIGO Pet Insurance helps you and your clients prepare for the unexpected so that you never have to make the tough choice between your pet's health and your wallet. Whether these pets are eating out of the trash or diving off of furniture, pets don't always make the best decisions. We know that, but with FIGO, you can and pet owners can. Designed for pets and their people, FIGO allows you to worry less and play more with customizable coverage for accidents, illness, and routine wellness. To get a quick and easy quote, visit figopet.com/cone of shame. That's FIGOPET.com/cone of shame. FIGO's policies are underwritten by Independence American Insurance Company. Welcome, everybody, to the Cone of Shame Veterinary Podcast. I am your host, Dr. DrAndyRoark. I am here with my friend today, the one and only Dr. Cherie Buisson. She was highly requested when I put out a call to say, hey, what was the best lecture you ever saw and who gave it? Because I'd like to talk to him on the podcast. She was on the list and got a number of little upvotes. And I know Cherie and I agree that she does a heck of a lecture and she is awesome to listen to. And so she's on today talking about imposter syndrome and finding her place in vet medicine. This is a fun conversation. We get into a lot of different stuff. It's kind of sprawling. There's lots of stories being told, lots of laughs. I think the world of her. Guys, I hope you are going to enjoy this one. Let's get into it.
This is your show. We're glad you're here. We want to help you in your veterinary career. Welcome to the Cone of Shame with Dr. DrAndyRoark.
Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Cherie Buisson. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here, and I'm so glad to see you again. It's been forever.
It's been a minute. It's been pre-pandemic since you and I got to hang out. But gosh. I know. Wow. I haven't seen you since then. Yeah.
Wow.
It was 2020 and then it's 2022 and here we are. So yeah.
All right.
For those who don't know you, Dr. Cherie Buisson is a practicing veterinarian. She is a hospice veterinarian in Largo, Florida. She is certified hospice and palliative care specialist, and she is the brains behind Happy Vet, which is a website online with a lot of mental health and wellness resources for vet professionals. And so that is Cherie. We met back in the day when I was running the DrAndyRoark website, and she just submitted an article kind of out of the blue, and I was like, this is amazing. And then she started writing more and more, and then she started getting asked to speak and present on the things that she had written, which were amazing. And then I got to see her just sort of take off like a rocket in our profession. And she is an outstanding presenter and speaker. And if you get the chance to see her in the post-COVID world, you should totally do that. And so, Cherie, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Gosh, it has been a really long time. That was 2017 when I submitted that article, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if somebody like DrAndyRoark picked this up, and then all of a sudden I had messages from you on every platform, and I was like, wow, talk about asking the universe for something. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were writing a lot of fascinating stuff. I think one of the things that you have really contributed to this profession more than anybody, I won't go that far and say, I think one of the things that you really put a stamp on, and that you said before anybody else was talking about it, you talked about imposter syndrome. And I think that was one of the first things that I really remember you writing about was imposter syndrome. And you were writing about euthanasia and hospice care early on as well. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the thing that's probably resonated the most with people, I think, was your writings on specific on imposter syndrome. I hadn't heard a lot about it back when you started. And then that's kind of where your career came from.
Yes. And the term imposter syndrome has been around since like the 70s. So it's nothing new and it's nothing I came up with. But, man, when you're struggling in the vet profession and you feel like you don't belong here, you start, if you're a geek, you start looking stuff up and you're like, there's got to be an explanation for this. And I don't even remember where I heard it first or if I just came upon it on the internet, but I was like, oh, this explains so much. And I thought, this is something the students need to hear, because if I had known that as a student, that most of the people in my class felt that way, because I think there's this bravado that we all put on, like, we know what we're doing and we're confident and, we're freaking out completely on the inside. And I think there wasn't a push for vulnerability back then. So, everybody was just like, oh, everyone is so much smarter than me and I don't belong here. And, I felt that way. Like I still feel that way sometimes. And it's been 22 years since I graduated. So I think it's just something, if we can start and let the students know it's a thing, then I think, I watch their faces light up in an audience. It cracks me up because I can always tell who the students are, because they their jaw drops and their eyes get big. And then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's me. So it makes me so happy to see them go, oh, okay, I'm not alone. Everything is fine. I do think that we've gotten, like, it's become kind of like everybody found out about it. And now it's like this cliche thing, oh, there's my imposter syndrome, and I think there's more being said about how maybe it's not so much imposter syndrome in a lot of places, that it's more toxic workplaces and discrimination that are, that like, you don't feel this way because something's wrong with you. Like there's something wrong with the world. And I think we've kind of put it on individuals. Well, if you feel this way, you need to fix it. And I think that's something we need to lean away from. We need to take responsibility for ourselves, but we also need to address the fact that systemically there are problems that cause people who are marginalized to feel even more marginalized. And we need to address that. So hopefully we're working on that, but it's not a small problem for sure.
So I just want to make sure I understand this too. So it's funny. I don't think of imposter syndrome as being a vet student thing at all. To me, I look around at everyone else that I know, and I guess I'm at a place in my career where I am fortunate. Humble brag. I get to visit with the people in the C-suites and CEOs of big vet companies, and you know what I mean. And I know people who own 7 vet practices, and like I know that they still have imposter syndrome. They probably more so because they're like, there's 300 people that work for me that they have no idea who I am. Like they clearly don't know that I was not supposed to get this job. And it's funny. So that's the mindset that I have is in high performing people, whether they're associate doctors or whether they're people who own, practice groups, being affected by this. And it's just funny to me that you see it on the faces of the vet students, which totally makes sense, but it's not at all the lens that I was looking at it through. Yeah.
And it's just because I remember feeling that way. Like I was the dumbest one in my class. I graduated 3rd in my class. Okay. So I wasn't.
You were quite the dumbest.
And not that the last person that graduated in our class was the dumbest, because, not everybody's good at school, but that was always my thing, is that I'm good at school. So I was like, how am I going to be a veterinarian when school stops? Because I'm good at school. Like that's what I do. Funny. And so I was like, if somebody had just told me, or, if I had shared that, and maybe they do better in vet school now. And, the students share like, hey, I feel really worried about this, or, I'm upset about this. But I was just like, I was in this room full of geniuses and I was like, how did I get here? And I talked to another veterinarian who I just love. And he was telling me that when he graduated, he didn't know they didn't put your diploma in the envelope or in the cardboard thing that they hand you.
In the tube that they give you. Yeah.
So when he opened it, he thought, oh my God, they just didn't want to embarrass me in front of my family. I didn't graduate. And I was like, it didn't, like, it made me laugh, but it didn't even surprise me. I was like, yeah, I can see that. Totally. Like, they handed us a cardboard folder, a pleather folder. And, we knew our diplomas weren't going to be in there. And then funnily enough, they misspelled our graduation date on the things. We all had to give our diplomas back and, get them back. So it's just the more people I talk to, the more I hear it, I don't know what I'm doing here. I just feel like I don't belong here. And so if everybody feels that way, maybe that means we all belong here. I think that's kind of where we need to come from. I mean, I had great mentors and they, they respected students and young veterinarians and were very supportive and like, hey, take it easy on yourself. You're learning. But I think for new vets too, it gets really hard because like everybody's in a lot of practices, everybody's real supportive in the beginning. And then once they feel like you should have your feet under you, they're like, you're not going fast enough. And then like, it just goes downhill from there. You're just like, I can't keep up and I can't do this. So
do you think that is a failing in our profession? So you say, if none of us feel like we're supposed to be here, I think it's always hard to speak in generalizations, but I definitely get the impression that a lot of us feel like we're not supposed to be here, especially early in our career. Is that a failing in our training, do you think? Or is that an inevitable part of being a human being?
Ooh, well, I think part of it is the selection process for veterinary school is that they tend to select for lack of better terms, anal retentive perfectionists.
Yeah, they're going for the people who are third in their class and think that they're not supposed to be there. That's who they go for.
Right. And so like if it's not perfect, we didn't accomplish it, I think is kind of how a lot of us feel. And so when we have cases that go wrong, we're like, oh, it must be me instead of, oh, it must be nature because this is how this works. Like sometimes perfectly healthy things just pass away and we don't know why. Or, sometimes anesthesia problems happen and we don't know why. And although I'm sure the anesthesia nerds have an explanation for that. And that's why I love them.
Great.
They're fantastic. But, I think we don't get, it's not realistic. Like our whole thing of, I love animals, but I don't maybe so much love people. So I should be a veterinarian. Like, I think we start off on the wrong foot with, I need to be perfect. I need to get straight A's. I need to get it right all the time. And there's no way for that to happen ever.
Yeah.
Like you're going to screw up. You're going to have patients that die for no reason. You're going to have patients that die because of you. And, if you're like me, all of them do because that's what I do for a living now, which
it's different when you're hospice.
Never would have thought that that's what I wanted to do. And so I just think we need change in that we just need to let everybody know it's okay. I feel like all vet students need a letter. It's like, here, you're going to feel like you suck and you don't belong here. That's crap. Here, you're not going to get everything right. And that's expected. I think our expectations are so far from what reality really is. And, a lot of us, this is what we wanted to be since we were kids, and kids don't have logical, smart ways to look at the world. So, we're just like, oh, I want to play with puppies and kittens all day. And, it just, that's not what it is.
Yeah. I had this theory. I wrote about it in a article that came out just last month. So it came out in, I think in the July, Today's Vet Business. But I've got this idea, Cherie, that we need more graduations. And my theory is this, okay? So when we talk about graduations, the point of a graduation is supposed to be to end one chapter of the life and move on to the next chapter, right? So it's based on these rituals of adulthood where you no longer a child and now you're a grown up and, now you're a member of the tribe and things like that. And so I think that we don't do a good job of ending college and beginning vet school and saying, this is not college anymore. This is different and you're going to learn differently. And the expectations are going to be different. And then I think we really don't do a good job. And I don't think it's on anyone at the schools, don't get me wrong. But I think that we have trained ourselves so that we do the thing and we sit through the ceremony at the end and then we go on and we don't really think about it. And I'll say, I don't remember the graduation being a transformational moment for me at all. It was a scheduling challenge that I had to fit on my day. And I had to go and do the thing. And I was like, oh, I got to make sure I eat before I go because I don't want to be angry for photos afterwards. And then, and that was as much as I had. I just kind of went on because I was like, I'm going to graduate. It's going to happen. And I think that we need more graduations, which are like, hey, you're not in school anymore. You're not meant to get everything right. And you're going to work with people, and you can't get everything right with people because they don't work that way. And so, and people are not going to have the money that you need to do the things that you want to do. And you are going to be doing your best with a pile of unfortunate circumstances, things that are beyond your control. And that's not failure. That's what you're doing now. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? But I think that a lot of us never really put school behind us and the idea that we needed to get the A and we needed to get it right and everybody needed to like us and be happy. And so that's my sort of idea with imposter syndrome is I wish that we could really put people through a graduation that would say, you're no longer a student. You're a professional with a CVT or a DVM. And this is what you do for a living, which means you make recommendations, you make hard choices. Some people don't like what you have to tell them. You're not going to have all the answers. You can't fix all the things. Welcome aboard, because this is what you do now. And so I don't know. Does that make any sense when I say it?
Yes, I love it because I read that article. Now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember reading that, and I agree. The difference for me, I went from not being able to do anything without direct supervision to being able to do whatever I wanted with no supervision in like 15 minutes. And I was just like, how is that possible? Like, yesterday I didn't know anything and today I'm supposed to know everything. And I think it's perfectly said. Like, you graduate and it's a graduation, but there's no handbook. Like, you can't even get, Dr. Spock's like how to survive your first year of vet school, although there are books now that cover that, but, or your first year as a veterinarian. But yeah, I think we don't give that the credit it deserves for how hard it is to do that. And I remember seeing a case of flea allergy, and I live in Florida. Everything's a case of flea allergy. And I didn't know what to do with it because I don't know what to work. How do I work this up? Like, what do we do? And, my boss was like, it's flea allergy. Put some Advantage on him and give him a shot of steroids and let's go on his way. And I was just like, yeah, they didn't teach me that in school. And I was involved in the Advantage clinical trials. So like, I knew, but it wasn't practical for what I needed. And it just wasn't something that I was used to seeing. Apparently I didn't get any flea infested dogs in Mississippi when I was on community practice. It was probably wintertime. It might've been wintertime. So I don't know, but it was just so odd to me. And I felt so stupid. I was like, he's going to fire me now. And I think that's another big component to imposter syndrome is people, like, if you have good mentors, they will tell you. Like, my boss went to the ends of the earth to tell me how much he appreciated me, how great a job I was doing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired.
As soon as he started to say nice things, you were like, this is it. He's setting it up.
This is it. He's going to fire me. And then I was lucky. Some graduates get bosses who gaslight them and are mean to them. I can't even imagine how you get through that. So yeah, I think there's a whole host of mess that we all have to get through to do this. And we're just thrown in the deep end. And it's like, pin a $20 bill to your collar and wish you the best of luck. Have at it.
Hey everybody, I'm just jumping in with 2 lightning fast updates. Number 1, if you have not gotten signed up for the Get Done Shorthanded Virtual Conference in October, it's October 6th through the 8th, you need to do that. If you are feeling overwhelmed in your practice, if you want things to go smoother and faster, if you do not want to watch webinars, you want to actually talk about your practice, you want to do some discussion groups, you want to do some workshops where you actually make things and work on things and ask questions as we go along and have roundtable discussions and things like that, that's really going to energize you and help you figure out actionable solutions that you can immediately put into practice to make your life simpler and more relaxed. I got you covered, buddy, but you don't want to miss it. Go ahead and get registered. Mark yourself off at the clinic for the time so that you can be here and be present and really take advantage of this. I don't want it to sneak up on you. I know October seems like a long way away. It's not. But go ahead. I'm going to put a link down below, and then when registration opens, we'll let you know it's open and you can grab your spot. But you do not want to let it sneak up on you. Check out our Get Done Shorthanded Conference. It's going to be a great one. The second thing I'm going to tell you about is Banfield. Thank you to Banfield, the pet hospital, for making transcripts of this podcast available. You can find them at DrAndyRoark.com. They are totally free and open to the public, and Banfield supports this to increase accessibility and inclusion in our profession. It's a wonderful thing that they do. Guys, that's all I got. Let's get back into this episode. I wanna just switch the conversation here a little bit because you're going right into a really interesting place. You've had a very non-traditional sort of career, and so you started off when we talking about imposter syndrome, and I think it's interesting that you come out of vet school and you're third in your class, and you're like, I'm not meant to be here, and this sort of experience. Talk to me about kind of finding your way in vet medicine, and because that's something that you speak a lot about, and it's something that you're known for. So yeah, walk me through sort of what your path was like as you sort of explored vet medicine coming out of this training program that we all sort of go through.
So I started very traditional in a private practice, dogs, cats, and exotics. Not a lot of exotics, but some. It was a 2 practice, so I went back and forth between 2 practices. I had fantastic mentors, fantastic, like the doctors placed me in the hands of my CVTs, and they were like, ask them anything.
I love those. I love those.
Yeah. And then they had to pull me in the office and say, ask them anything, but not where the client can hear you. So I had that happen one time. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to fire me. And then I realized that I have we didn't have, I mean, I'm sure it was around, but training, like fear-free and low stress handling were not a thing back then. Yeah. We did the WrestleMania. And I got beaten up by way too many big dogs, which God help me, was not their fault at all. It was all me not knowing what to do with them. And I had an affinity for feline medicine. So I actually moved to a feline only practice. Again, fantastic mentor, a woman. So someone who looked like me in vet med, which was something I had female professors at the university, but my first job, I worked for 2 men. And so she was just amazing, and so, like the kind of boss that I still try to be today, just fantastic. And we're still really close friends. And so I did feline medicine for a while, and I was going to buy her practice, and that plan fell through. And I had already acknowledged and decided the things I was going to change that were making my life stressful. And when it turned out that she was going to stay my boss and I was going to stay the associate, I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore because I now want things to be my way. So, and for whatever reason, then I transferred to shelter medicine, where things are never your way.
I was going to say, because that's where you get things your way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was my own boss, and it was kind of cool. I did get to plan out and really design the medical department that hadn't been updated in years and years and that kind of thing. But so I did shelter medicine. I love spays and neuters, and I loved being able to take care of pets without owners involved, which at the time, I really burned out in practice because of owners, partially because I had no training in how to communicate with them. I took everything personally, and felt like a failure every time things didn't go perfectly with a client, which how often do they really? Yeah. So I, did shelter medicine and was able to help these pets. I mean, I had financial constraints and I had a board of directors to answer to, but I was able, I felt more brave. I tried surgeries that would save a life because there were no consequences if it went wrong. I knew I had tried. Whereas on a client's animal, I would have been much more stressed about that. And it really rounded out my professional life. The politics of being in a shelter was, again, too much for me. And I ended up with compassion fatigue and burnout all at the same time, which is a special kind of hell.
Yeah.
And so I decided I really did need to be my own boss. I need to make my own rules. And I don't know why I didn't know that, because I've been that way my entire life. I don't like people telling me what to do. I like to do my own thing. I'm very obedient when I have a boss, but I don't like it. So I moved on to relief work which was shelter stuff, high quality, high volume spay neuter. And then that, I did that for a while, totally beat myself up doing way too many surgeries and had, wrist and hand problems. And I had a colleague ask me to do some relief work for a home euthanasia practice. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't want to. It was like, this sounds like the worst job ever. And I was like, but I had lost a big client. I needed the money. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a try. I can always back out, which I think is something else that vet professionals, we feel like we have to marry something every time it comes up. It's like, I've been committed to vet medicine since I was 13. And so I have a hard time just trying things. If I'm not going to succeed at it and I'm not going to love it, I will stick with it even if it's not good for me. So I think that's another thing that we do is we feel like we have to commit to everything forever. So I was like, I'll try it and see if I like it. And the first one that I went to, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, you know, the client, I was observing, so I'm terrible at that. So I cried through the whole thing. And then the client hands me the Rainbow Bridge poem and asks me to read it, which I can't read without crying, like in my office.
Oh, yeah.
Like I know what's coming. I know, but it's like Steel Magnolias level ugly crying that I do. If I have to, so I had to read this whole poem out loud through my tears, crying. I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And I got out the door and the other veterinarian put her arm around me and she's like, you are going to be so good at this. And I was like, okay, if you say so. And so then, yeah, it went from there. I worked for her for a few years and then went back to regular relief for a while and then opened my own practice back in 2015 now. We just had our 6th anniversary, or 7th anniversary. And it's just been a ride. But I've learned a lot about trying new things, especially with my practice, because I wanted, the wellness portion of my career is really important to me, and I needed wellness and I wanted my team to have wellness. And, you know, veterinary medicine tells you that that's not possible. And, you know, I won't say we do it great all the time, but we really try. And I try to be open. I'm like, all right, we'll try this for 3 weeks. And then if we don't like it, we're going to go, or if I don't like it, we're going to go back, you know, because I'm the boss and I say so.
I have a fancy name for that. We call that pilot programs, and it makes me sound smart. And it's the same thing.
Ooh.
It's like, you say, no, you say, Cherie, you say to the team, we're going to do a pilot program.
And that sounds so much better.
We're going to roll this out for 3 weeks, and then we're going to see if we want to expand the program. And that's how you say, basically, like, I'm going to try it, and if I don't like it, we're going to stop. But you don't say it that way.
I love pilot program.
Speak. Yeah.
You sound, and especially now with Top Gun being out, like you sound Tom Cruise level cool. We're going to have this pilot program. Like, I feel like I could have the glasses and the leather jacket. I wear Ray-Bans
when I say it.
Oh, man, I have Ray-Bans in the car. I'm going to have to put them on.
There you go. That's what you
I love it. I love it. But yeah, it's given me that kind of freedom to try new things and see what I like. And what I don't like, and not be afraid to say, yeah, that didn't work at all. We're not doing that again. And I just had one of those moments this morning. You know, my other doctor and I and our receptionist were like scrambling to try to help a family. And we were trying to figure things out and we're texting and it was crazy. And we called the lady and she had found help elsewhere, or she had gone to the vet in the middle of the night or something. And I was like, okay, this is like the 1,000th time we've done this. And like you always say on your Uncharted podcast, this is now practice policy.
Yeah,
so we need to change it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, why don't we instead call people and see where they are and what they need? And then we'll figure out how to help them if they actually need help. And it's just something as simple as that. Whereas before I would keep doing this and beating my head against the wall. And so, you know, we changed our hours multiple times. We used to be open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. as far as answering phones. Now it's 8 to 4 because that's what my team needed, you know, for their family life. And, you know, I hired people I wanted and they were like, hey, we got to be out of here by 4 to take care of kids or whatever they need to do. And I was like, all right, well, we'll try closing at 4 and I'll keep an eye on like how many things were missing between 4 and 5:30, which is where we had gotten back down to. I mean, we just changed it. If people are having a problem with something, I'm like, okay, well, what can let's try something. Let's see what, instead of that whole, we do it this way and that's the only way. And, you know, like it or leave it. I just feel like that's, you know, that doesn't get us anywhere.
I love that so much. And I think that there's this, there are these maxims in vet medicine, like the sacred cows that are not to be touched, that people grab onto. You know what I mean? And this sounds so simple, but there's so much of our careers that we have more power over than we think. So I remember during the pandemic so I run Uncharted, an Uncharted veterinary community for those who are not familiar with it. But it's a leadership development community for veterinarians and vet leaders. And anyway, during the pandemic, we had people burning out left, right, and center. And their staff was leaving and things. And the idea came up that's like, we need to close another day a week. And at first, when that was said, it was like, this is heresy. And I know so many people, you know what I mean? There are so many people who are like, we can't just take Wednesday off. And the truth is, you can. Yeah, you can. You know, like it takes some planning, but it's not written down anywhere that vet clinics shall be open on Wednesdays, or even that vet clinics shall be open on Saturdays. And we've had a lot of clinics at Uncharted that were like, hey, we're a small staff and our people are burning out. and we're taking the weekends off. We're not working on Saturdays.
And I've worked for 2 of those practices in my hometown. The cat practices that were open Monday through Friday, and one of them closes a half day on Wednesday. And you know what? They are so busy, they don't know what to do with themselves.
Exactly.
And I remember my first boss, when the cat hospital, when she decided to close on weekends, she was like, I don't know if I can do this. And her doctor told her, because she had gotten shingles, she was like, you're either going to see less of the clinic or more of me. Take your pick.
Yeah.
And she was like, yes, ma'am. And she shut it. And she said there were probably 3 people out of all of her clients that left the practice because they could not be seen on the weekend. Yeah. 3. And I think we underestimate how many people see us on Saturdays because it's convenient, as opposed to when they, that they absolutely can't. And yes, and no matter what you do, you're going to lose people. And that's like, I've heard practices that are like, we just need to be open 24 hours. And I'm like, oh, okay, no. I mean, if you can find the people who want to do that, great, and for emergency clinics, obviously. But I mean, we even have an emergency clinic that they're open, specified hours. They're 24 hours on the weekends and holidays, but not during the week. They close and they refer to other places. And I mean, it takes some shuffling around and it's hard. But I mean, if we have a shortage of team members, largely, our own fault, because we work people to death for very little pay.
Yeah.
And, I worry about that all the time. And I pay quite a bit more for my team than most of the local practices. And they work from home. Like they deal with clients on the phone. They're not in person. So, people tell, we just can't afford that. And I'm like, I make way less money than you do, and I can afford it. I make sure to. And yes, I have to make sacrifices for that. And sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? But, I have wonderful team members who are here with us and, say it's the best job that they've ever had, which means the world to me. And, people are looking for something different. And, I don't think anybody likes the grind. And when work becomes a grind, especially something like this, that's like a passion for you, having it become a grind is just the key to burnout and being miserable. And I will say I burned out completely during the pandemic too. Because when you work until you get sick and then you don't get sick, that's a really stupid plan.
Yeah.
And so,
that was the plan.
that was the plan. I was like, we'll be sick, between my husband and I, we'll probably not be able to go out into the world for a month. Cause back in the beginning, it was like 2 weeks for each person that got sick. And I was like, plan to be out of work for a month. I'm going to work my butt off and then, take a month in bed with COVID. And that didn't happen. I caught COVID this past April for the first time that I know of. So
oh man,
best laid plans of veterinarians and
there you go
stuff.
My favorite piece of career advice, which is so dumb, but it's true. It's like, figure out how to do more of what you like and figure out how to do less of what you don't like. And then just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And people like that blows some people's minds, and it sounds so simple, but it's true. And it's just sort of like, what do you like to do? I remember when I because I was working full time as a veterinarian and I had little kids, and I was just writing at night and on the weekends. And I was doing I was going to some conferences to present, like, as long as I could get there after work on Friday so I could get, speak on Saturday, then I would do the job. But that was, but I was doing all this stuff. And finally I was like, I'm not going to work full time anymore in the clinic. And that just felt like, I don't know, like some taboo thing to be like, I'm not going to work 4 days a week and every other Saturday. I'm going to work 3 days a week and every other Saturday. And I'm going to take Fridays off. And I told my boss that. I was like, this is what I need. And I think so many people just can't imagine themselves saying, well, this is what I'm going to do. You can do that. It's allowed. Of course, I did not go, I don't want to sound like I unilaterally said to my boss, this is how it is. No, I went and I said, I have an idea and this is what I would like to do. And I can see how it could work here as well. And at that point, it was back when things were slow sometimes, and she was happy to not pay me, 18% of my salary or whatever it worked out to be for me to cut down a day. So she was happy to get the cost off the books, and I was happy to get the free time, and it worked out. But it's funny how much control you have. And I think your story is great, moving around through the rooms of vet medicine, right? It's a big house. There's a lot of rooms, and I think it's awesome you got to try that. So if you could go back, knowing what you know now, Sort of just in regard to sort of finding your place in the profession, what advice would you give to young Cherie if you could?
Ooh, I did a whole lecture on this. I posted every year at graduation.
I need about a 3-minute answer here.
Yeah, they told me 10 minutes and I pushed it to 20. So I'll try to be good. Yeah, I think just to do what makes you happy and to speak up. I think there's a lot of, I was raised in Louisiana and Florida. I'm a good Southern girl. You know, we don't like to make people uncomfortable. We don't like to have uncomfortable conversations. We are just pretty and we sit nice and we do the things to make everyone happy and comfortable so no one's uncomfortable. And then you are uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah, you live your life uncomfortable.
Yeah. You know, and I'm 47 now. I'm still uncomfortable, you know, having uncomfortable conversations. But I think getting comfortable with that and, you know, I think take a communications course for the love of God. Please take a communications course and learn how to talk to people and learn how to not take what they say personally. I think those things, I mean, now I look and I'm like, you know, get therapy because it's super helpful. Meditate. Like if I could go back and make myself meditate, I think that would have been great. You know, sometimes you just got to find things when it's your time to find things. And yeah,
I've had that thought a lot recently, just of, there are so many things that I do now in my 40s that I'm like, God, why didn't I start doing this when I was 30? Right? And I don't think that I don't know that you could have talked me into it when I was 30. So yes. Meditating or, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the other stuff that I do. I've been,
saving money.
Saving money. Yeah. All those sorts of things where I go, why didn't I pick this up earlier? I've been cooking a lot recently and I really enjoy it. And I'm like, all of the money I could have saved in my 20s cooking for myself instead of, you know, eating out every meal, like just basic stuff like that. Yep. But I'm like, and also just the enjoyment I would have had of doing a hobby that I didn't find until much later on. But I think you find it when you find it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I kind of lost myself. Like Cherie the vet became my entire persona, and like Cherie the person didn't really matter. Like we just ran her to death until she was like, okay, that's it. You know, I'm sick now. And now we have to be Cherie the person in bed with a thermometer in your mouth because you overdid it.
Yeah.
You know, that balance, and that it's not a balance of, you know, work is 50% and your personal life is 50%. Like it's a constant shift, and it's like yoga, you know, you've just got to keep your balance. You're going to sway one way or the other. And I really just wish I could have told myself, just sit back and enjoy it, because it's such a great ride. And, you know, 22 years later, I'm looking back and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I've had such an exciting career and such a diverse career. And I'm so glad I tried the things that I did, because being an anxious person, I have a lot of problems trying new things and potentially failing at them. To just try stuff if it interests me, and just to go for it and see. I mean, my whole career is based on something I didn't want to even try. And, you know, I kind of was forced to by circumstances, and look how great it turned out. And now I'm doing what I want to do. So, and I think too, just like not being so hung up on what vet medicine is right now and how you have to run a practice. Like, you know, there are practices that run a bit like mine, but, you know, I've never seen one that's, you know, so schedule friendly. And I mean, it's a lot of work on me when somebody says, hey, I'm taking vacation, and somebody else goes, oh, I'm going too. And it's like, oh, why did I do this? Why don't I, you know, have those rules where no one goes on vacation without my permission? But then I look at how people want to stay and want to work, and, you know, it's worth it. It's fine. And I just love everybody kind of being their own boss, and, you know, they have to work within the confines of my practice, but, you know, there's not that, you know, I am the boss and you must do what I say or else. You know, we kind of are a co-op, I think, of people. And, you know, so far I like it, but, you know, I'm glad I had the experiences that I had. Otherwise I might not have been brave enough to try this. And I still, at times, I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Is this that imposter syndrome, it's like, oh gosh, am I qualified to be somebody's boss? Like I can't even manage my own life. Like, can I really run this business? And then, my accountant's like, hell yeah, you can. Look at these numbers. You're doing great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, all right. I'll believe it. Now that you're showing it to me in black and white, I can do it.
You're talking to a guy who owns a veterinary conference. Like,
yeah.
I can't believe there's not some ruling body that has to sign off on that, but they don't. Like, I waited for 3 years for the AVMA to show up and shut me down. I'm like, I don't know if they have that power, but I feel like they should. But no, they don't. They don't. And so
you just go for it.
You just do it, and it works out. Dr. Cherie Buisson, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you online? Where can they read your stuff and get more of your wisdom?
So they can find me at ahappyvet.com. Which is my website for wellness in the vet profession. We're very active on Facebook. I've been neglecting it a bit lately because the Helping Hands, which is my hospice practice, has been busy. If you're interested in hospice and palliative care, helpinghandspethospice.com is my website for my mobile practice. So you can reach me at either of those places. And my email address and my phone number are on there, so you can contact me if you're interested. But I'm so happy that you contacted me to come do this, because I've been missing the camaraderie and seeing your face and talking to you. It's been great.
Do you want to tell a story about where this came from, where this podcast came from? Because you cracked me up when you told me this. Okay, I
will. Okay, so Andy had a post asking for people's favorite lectures. And I think it even said that you were looking for people to interview for your podcast, but you were just like, I want to know your favorite lectures. And it came across, and I was like afraid to read the comments because I was like, I really wanted somebody to mention me. And and I was like, the irony of that. And what's hilarious is that the person that mentioned me actually specifically mentioned imposter syndrome, which cracks me up because I was like all impostery, like everyone else is going to get loved and I am not going to get loved ever. And so somebody, like, I watched it for a couple of days. This is so embarrassing. And finally somebody did post and said something about me. And I was like, my thought that ran through my head completely, like subconsciously, but it came up was, oh, thank God I'm for real. That was what came up. Yes. Thank God somebody, like, I am actually a human being who got some recognition.
I needed that's validation.
All good. I needed that validation. Someone in the comments on Facebook validated me. So my career is meaningful. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I think I actually talked to my therapist about it that week. I was like, you are not going to believe how worried I was about this. And she just cracked up and shook her head.
Humans are strange animals.
Yeah, that's why I don't work on them.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right. I think that's the last word of wisdom on this. I think that's great insight. All right. Thanks, Cherie. Hey, everybody, take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you next week. And that is our episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to Cherie Buisson. She's incredible. Gang, take care of yourselves. Be well. I'll talk to you later on. Bye.